Imagine, you're on your way to your favorite boba shop to meet with friends, you're going to an aesthetically pleasing cafe to study, or that you're at a cool hip theater to attend an indie concert. Or maybe you've even taken the day off for a photo shoot and you're posing by the street art for your Instagram. You may not live in the neighborhood you're visiting, but you don't mind commuting because you want to hang out at all the trendy locations where the college students like to gather. Little do you realize that the ground you're standing on has histories that transcend the cute eateries and the trendy local hangout spots. It is important for us to be aware of the spaces we occupy and how we affect those who were already there. These neighborhoods have seen people come and go. These neighborhoods have undergone shifts leading to battles and displacements. These neighborhoods have not only seen livelihoods forcibly stripped away, but they have also seen the seeds of a new identity planted in its soil and flourished. These shifts are what is known as gentrification, and the Uptown neighborhood located in Chicago's North Side has experienced such history. The Uptown that one sees today does not come close to reflecting its early beginnings. In 1889, an informal annexation of the Uptown community began to take shape. At this time, Uptown was primarily prairie land. However, by 1920, an influx of immigrants had begun moving into the area, many of which were driven by the effects of urbanization. As a result of urban sprawl, Uptown emerged as one of Chicago's most densely populated areas. However, as it morphed into a prominent metropolis neighborhood, Uptown continuously dealt with housing issues and could barely support its inhabitants. During its early years, Uptown struggled to accommodate a growing influx of African American, Native American, and European immigrants who began migrating into the area. The demands for housing led to overcrowding, and eventually, many of the homes fell into disrepair. As low-income minorities and Appalachian whites began replacing early Uptown residents, what they encountered was dilapidated homes and apartments. As urban renewal projects really began to take shape during the mid to late century, affordable housing failed to materialize in the Uptown area. Instead, comfortable and reliable living options became fewer and fewer as homes simply disappeared due to neglect, construction, and even arson for profit. Uptown's multicultural population had stirred tension within its community, but it also brought people together. The people of Uptown did not stay passive through these hardships, and their shared experiences gave way to several waves of activism.
I feel is multicultural, more than any other part of Chicago. Uptown is multiracial, more than any other part of Chicago. Now God speaks to a situation like this here.
Today, affordable housing continues to remain an issue in Uptown, only now it's due to gentrification. Gentrification takes place when affluent or middle-class people move into a low-income community and begin a renovation process, which often results in the displacement of the community's original inhabitants. Jacinda Bully, a longtime Uptown resident, artist, and activist, is one of the many people that have experienced the effects of gentrification.
Like watching condos come up, and I used to like bust windows of the condos when I was a teenager, just like hating that, just because we knew what that meant. Like, we would paint up buildings, no more condos. This is all like in the early 90s. I think, people talk all the time like about affordable housing, but what is affordable housing? Affordable for who, right? The challenge here has always been to maintain low-income housing, and there's been mad fight for that over the last 3-4 decades. And Uptown, at one point, I don't know what it is now, but we had the most scattered site housing, which is low-income public housing in the city. And that was deliberate. The aldermen and the community really fought to all of those vacant lots. I wish we could stay, but every day I literally look for somewhere to move, because even my rent, and I live in a subsidized housing where it's according to your income, it's still so high. It's crazy. Yeah, and also it doesn't feel familiar and home-like anymore.
Jacinda's experiences are not unique. In fact, her experiences mirror the story of how Chicago itself came to be. A history and a people that are often ignored are the original Native American tribes, such as Miami, Potawatomi, and Ojibwe, and the other original inhabitants of Chicago. These native populations were forced to sell their land to American government, and as a result, were forced to either relocate or assimilate. Jacinda's Appalachian and Choctaw Indian identity and spiritual beliefs has helped her recognize this history and the ways in which accountability is important and sheds light on colonization. She has recognized that this history is manifested in modern-day gentrification.
And I think about that all the time. Like, land is just such an abstract thing. Like, the way in which we try to own it, you know? It's such like a colonized, like, way of thinking about things, but we exist in it, you know?
Native Americans did not believe in the concept of private property. Instead, they viewed land as if it were a birth giver, something that is more valuable than money, as something that should not be owned or destroyed. But land rights, like the rights of the native, indigenous populations, have been erased and pushed into the shadows. Mainstream American values such as capitalism have replaced the rights of the people. And 200 years later, history is constantly repeating itself.
Because I truly do believe that we're all just spiritual folks in this physical existence. It's not forever. You know, it's very short. And we got to make the best of it. We got to be the best to each other while we're here. So it's just weird, like, to think about, like, the waves of, like, this is the place to be, and then the wave when it's the flight back to the suburbs because it's not the place to be, and now that re-emergence, and what's home, right? Because everything that was familiar to me in this neighborhood is gone, is leaving. There's barely anything left that is like from my childhood here.
As we go through our lives inhabiting spaces, we might want to reflect on the history of the space we're taking up. What was it like before I arrived? What did it take for me to get here? Why am I here? And who truly owns this land? As a college student who finds herself frequenting spaces and neighborhoods I have no ties to, these questions made me think about my relationship to gentrification. Jacinda's story showed me that the first step to making a change is to learn. Let's be encouraged to stop this cycle of history and support the vulnerable communities that are being harmed by modern-day colonization. You can advocate for the local organizations and hear their voices, or you can even start by recognizing how one's own self might be perpetuating gentrification.